Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. Of course, the Broncos are favored by 10.5. Because it's not just Carson Wentz. It's Carson Wentz, and I'm sure Travis Kelce's not going to play.
Friends.
Any other significant player is going to play.
Yeah. It's the Chiefs resting, presumably, as many people as they can possibly rest.
Chiefs have the number 1 seed locked up, so they're going to be on bye. Week 1, Denver win, and they're in this one. It's Sunday at 4:25.
Yeah, and this is the reason Cincinnati, et cetera's playoff odds are still so low, because Denver's the only thing that matters for them is contingent on Denver losing this game, and they're facing the Chiefs backups, not the Chiefs. So, and they would have they've given the Chiefs close games, let alone the Chiefs backups. So you can certainly understand why it's a 10-point margin in Denver's favor. And it makes sense. I mean, they're going to have the advantage pretty much everywhere, even if Carson Wentz, is capable of a high-end game and a decent performance and all those things in a vacuum. As you said, who's he throwing to? Who's protecting him on the offensive line? Doesn't feel like it's a game where Kansas City's going to have much chance.
That's where I said, like, the NFL putting division games at the end of the season makes sense because, they could be playing for the division, and sometimes it works out, and other times it's like we lost out this season on a really good Chiefs-Broncos game, right? We lost out on that just because of the way the Chiefs clinched early.
Like look at the AFC North, right? Like on the one hand, you've got two teams that theoretically have something to play for. So Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, we expect to be a really good game because both teams at least have something on the line. Meanwhile, you've got Baltimore, Cleveland, where it's a 18-point spread because one team's been buried for weeks and the other team doesn't have anything to play for really either. And it's nothing, right? This is similar. Like you have this game that could have been another great matchup between Kansas City and Denver, and instead it's like, the Chiefs are resting everybody.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's a little unfortunate because, like, imagine if Kansas City was playing for something and Denver needed to win it in against Mahomes Chiefs, and Miami needed to beat the Jets, and Cincinnati needed to beat Pittsburgh. It would be a better weekend. But
I think it's just an unfortunate. I don't think it's necessarily the division aspect that makes it worse, but it's just an unfortunate reality of when you have teams that clinch. The last few games of the season or the last week of the season can be complete dead rubber games because they don't care.
So even when Mahomes is out there, Denver has been playing Kansas City really tough. Remember in the first matchup, of course, Denver was in position for the game-winning field goal, got blocked. I thought Bo Nix, he's been impressive overall as a rookie. One of the impressive things to me was how he stood in there against Kansas City's defense. He was one of the first, I think, QBs to have some success against that defense earlier in the year, especially on third down, made some key plays. Part of the reason why I took Bo Nix's projection, I think he does have a big game against Kansas City as they're just trying to stay healthy, and Kansas City doesn't play for another 2 weeks here. So they've got some time off. It's going to be a lot of time off for Kansas City's key players here.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're the opposite end of the Detroit attitude, right? Like the Lions had nothing to play for last week and still went out there like everything was on the line. Kansas City repeatedly have demonstrated that if there's nothing on the line, we're not risking people.
Can we discuss that really quick? I mean, Dan Campbell came out and said, hey, you only have a 53-man roster, you have 46 active, you can't really bench everybody. We prepared everybody for this game, and so we played. And that's fine. It's the way Detroit was operating. And a lot of people are like, see, you can't bench everybody. And it's like, well, sure you can. Like Kansas City does this every year. And even Bill Belichick came out and said, oh, you got 7 inactives. How do I tell the starting guard he has to play, but my quarterback's not playing and my receiver's not playing? It's like you tell them. Teams do this every year. They rest their most important players. And it is true. You cannot literally bench or rest all 22 starters. You can't do it. Like there's just not enough roster spots to go around. So some players are going to play. But yeah, Mahomes and Kelce and probably the DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy, like all the Chris Jones, like they're not going to play.
Right. I mean, just look
and it's not going to affect their locker room. It's going to be fine.
No, the idea that you can't rest players is clearly nonsensical. I mean, just watch the lineup. When they announce the starters for the Kansas City Chiefs this week, look through them and count how many players are not out there that would be playing in a normal game. You can rest a lot of people and still field, an active game day roster, and the Chiefs will. So that's not a reason that you can't do that. But it is interesting that you've got, theoretically, these could be the 2 number 1 seeds, right? And one of them will be resting players in similar situations. Obviously, Detroit's no-matter game was the week before. But in 2 theoretical games with nothing on the line, the Chiefs will be resting as many people as they possibly can. The Lions rested nobody and played like the game meant everything to them. I don't think there's necessarily a right answer to this.
Same thing we say about the preseason. When do you sit starters? Do you play them a series, play them 2? It's the same discussion. Let teams do what they do. Kansas City's always been in the camp to rest.
Yeah.
Kansas City, so they're going to have the number 1 seed playing, the win. So here's the deal. If Denver wins and gets in, they're probably a 7 here. And if they were to pull the upset against Buffalo, they're going to Kansas City in the divisional round. So that's what we could see this in a few weeks here again with actual starters. Denver by 10.5 here. By the way, this is going to go head-to-head with the other game that matters, which we'll talk about in a second, which is Miami and the Jets. So there's no way that Denver would know that they're in ahead of this. They have to play it out because it's going head-to-head with the Miami game that will also help determine if Denver gets into the playoffs.
I believe Kansas City's backups will keep it within 10 or whatever the number is. I'm using the sleep wrap, which is different to whatever we're working with.
I'll take Denver to win it and cover. No, Harry's going to take Kansas City. I'll take Denver to cover it. You'll take Kansas City.
Does he know the dynamics of backups and, have you explained that they're not going to be playing anybody of consequence?
I have not.
Are you trying to mislead the child?
I will
steal wins on him.
Before I will let him put his official sleeper picks in while giving him all of that information.
By the way, we've had rather unfortunate incidents where we keep arriving dressed the same.
Yes.
This close this morning to wearing something almost identical to that.
We should lay it out ahead of time.
We're gonna have to start.
I'm wearing the black hoodie.
Ridiculous.
I'm wearing whatever this thing
I literally yesterday I got a shirt for something else, and I bought something that looks a lot like that.
Or
and I almost wore it.
We
this
should
morning.
always wear the same thing and be in uniform at all
Right?
times.
Yeah, be like an old married couple. It'd be perfect. Or maybe that's how we identify ourselves at Circa. You'll know us because we'll be dressed the same.
Somebody said so. We should, if you have a grumpy shirt and I have a big goofy shirt, we should
get a cartoon creation of each.
We should probably lean into that.
Well,
we'll wear those.
I don't know what the copyright laws are, but if we get a picture of Goofy and just put your head on it, and then we get a picture of Oscar the Grouch and park that head on it.
I mean, we've been sued multiple
I'm sure that's
times
close
before.
enough.
I'm sure that's fine.
I'm sure that's enough. You can. What is it? Fair use, where you can edit the image enough. That feels close enough.
Yeah, we could do that.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.